Quick word from Game Time, guys. The NFL season is back, and honestly, there's nothing better than being in the stadium surrounded by fans cheering on your favorite team. But let's be honest, getting tickets online can be a hassle between waiting screens, logins, prices jumping at checkout. It's frustrating, but that's why you should use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to the fans. Game Time is fast, easy, and backed by the Game Time guarantee, where you always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best prices. Plus, all fees are included, so the price you see is the price you pay. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Once again, that's promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, and go. Download Game Time today. And with that, we're thrilled to welcome in notable hoop head and Cleveland Browns beat writer, Zach Jackson to the show. What's up, Zach?
NBA insider, Zach Jackson.
Top three, Zach.
I don't know anything about offense. I cover the Browns.
No problem.
He said he ain't want no problems with that.
Offensive line play. Let's go. Trade deadline. Are you surprised nothing happened?
I would say mildly surprised.
Really?
I thought they would dump off a couple of guys. I didn't think they'd ever pull off anything major, but I thought that maybe one more. That wasn't a surprising trade, right? He's on a one-year deal. He's not playing. Yeah. But I thought of Jerome Ford, Shelby Harris, and potentially David Njoku, because I just don't see how David Njoku is in this team's plans going forward. He's been replaced by a younger, better player. Yeah. And it's complicated because of his contract, because they've invested in him many times.
Yeah.
But more than likely, David Njoku going forward is going to be dead money for the Cleveland Browns, $24 million next year.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought him up, because obviously he was very passionate about Cleveland and how he's not leaving and all those things. Is this the last year on this deal?
Yes.
Will they re-sign him?
If Seattle would have extended you 3 times, would you be sitting there being pretty passionate about Seattle?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty passionate about Seattle. They ain't extended me one time.
Let him have a guest appearance weekly. He'll be right back passionate with Seattle.
He talking about, like, I ain't never leaving, and I'm just thinking, like...
yeah, that's David. He brings that kind of energy when he wants to.
Okay.
Look, I thought he could still play. He doesn't run the way he used to, but he can still play. I thought some team would look and say, like, this is a guy that gets to the middle of the field and has a presence. Whether they did or didn't, what the asking price was, I don't know. But I think the Browns were like, let's see how this works. There's just so much uncertain, right? He's probably not in the future plans, but we really don't know.
Right.
And, they're going to change play callers. The new guy is the tight ends coach from last year. When this offense has worked, right, David Njoku's been a part of it. Like, if they're going to make something out of these next few games, then it's probably going to be both Fant and Njoku catching a lot of passes.
Wyatt Teller was somebody else that was passionate and happy about still being in Cleveland. He, too, mentioned hoping that he gets a contract extension. Do you think Wyatt Teller is somebody that's going to be back?
I think it has to be a priority. I mean, all 5 starters on the offensive line do not have a contract for next year. So they're all at 30 or above. But Wyatt has stayed healthy. Wyatt's a good player. And, I mean, they're going to have to bring one of them back, right? Joel's probably going to retire. It's probably not going to be Jack Conklin. It's almost certainly not Cam Robinson. Makes the most sense that it's Wyatt Teller.
So speaking of Wyatt, he also said about Tommy Rees calling plays, he said, you won't see too much that's different as far as like the plays that's being called or anything. Elaborate on that, on exactly what he meant. Because yesterday we talked about will it look different, and he said it won't.
Well, because they've been in practice since May. It's this offense, and you tweak it every week, and obviously this needs. But I think more than anything, this was just looking for a spark, right? Kevin Stefanski has played his cards as a head coach. Another offensive coordinator change, a second year in a row of giving up play calling. He's made the other changes, right? This offense is bad. It's bottom 5 in almost every category. So you come out of the bye week, what do? You have to play Dillon Gabriel right now. That's what they've chosen. They don't necessarily have to, but that's what they've chosen. They're trotting out every week the worst wide receiving core in the league, right? So what is there left to change? That's the one card he could play. We'll see what it matters.
And people have speculated the fact that obviously he did make the change at coordinator. He's going to give up play call 2 years in a row. What do you make of people saying that means that it signifies it being him more safe than what he would be because he wouldn't give up play calling if he thought he was on a hot seat?
I don't know. I don't know if I translate it that way, G. So who's safe? I mean, they shouldn't feel safe. First of all, no one should, and no one should feel comfortable. But you are at the bye week. You are looking at this situation where you brought in Tommy Rees for a reason. You made this change for a reason. So what stands out is it doing it the second year in a row. But what does it mean about what Kevin Stefanski feels? I don't know. And I feel like we've been saying this in some form since September. But let's see in 4 weeks where it is. Did it spark anything? You know, does he feel safe then? When it comes time, and it's coming, to change quarterbacks and play the next guy, whoever it is, it's probably Shedeur Sanders. You know, then what does the head coach do? And what is the vibe of, is he doing it for himself? Is he doing it for the future? Is he doing it because he's forced to? Right now, I don't know. You know, they're back. They're getting ready for a game, and it's a game they should win. It's not a game they can win. It's a game they should win.
Yeah.
And frankly, if they win, then it sets them up to play in another game that means something in this demolition derby of a division. So let's see. And the New York Jets, who traded away their best 2 defensive players and who are clearly playing for the future, so are the Browns. But the Browns go there and win. It's more than a Band-Aid. You know, it sets up a huge, huge game in Cleveland next Sunday.
Would you say that what the Browns have done these past 2 seasons is the definition of insanity?
26 seasons, is that what you said?
Yeah, right. One line
I
king.
didn't hear you for a second.
Don DeMarco.
Why you be doing this? No,
Because I've lived it, Tyvus. Because I started working for the Browns in the year 2000.
you just
Okay?
you gotta let it go.
And they fired the coach at the end of the year that year, and it's just been this cycle.
I'm just saying, like, they didn't. You went out there and, like, last year you gave up play calling, that didn't work. This year you gave up play calling, that didn't work. You kept the same receivers. You didn't change a lot of stuff on the offensive side. Like, isn't that insanity?
Yeah, I mean, Garrett, I've said all along, I think the construction of the offense is a bigger problem than the coaching, right? And I just think when you look at the combination of things, how they've only had the same offensive line in 2 games out of 8, right? How they've had Judkins in and they've had Judkins out, and they've got consistently nothing from the wide receivers. Like, there's that is a bigger problem than the coaching. So this, to me, is just a spark. It's just a little Band-Aid. It's just something. What will it change? I don't know.
If they would have made a trade for a Garrett Wilson or Chris Olave or Jalen Waddle, what would you have looked at and said, that's too much?
I mean, anything in the first 2 rounds, because this is a long-term rebuild. Like, this is a 2027 rebuild.
Even
like,
the second
when
round?
you look at the cap money and the roster, like, they next year are probably going to be worse. There's 14 rookies on this team. So out of 53 guys, next year, at least 25 of them are going to be first and second year players. So you would love to add 4 more studs, right? And you would love Schlesinger and these guys to be going up. But you have no idea what your offensive line is going to be. You have no idea if you can fix the wide receiver group, and unless it's just one hit, it's probably not going to be more than one. And you have no idea what your quarterback's going to be.
I got a proposal for you. I thought about this yesterday. What if the Browns traded, I don't know what it would take. I don't think it would be that high. But let's say they traded for, like, Mac Jones and then drafted 2 wide receivers and an offensive lineman with their first 3 picks.
Okay, well, who's playing the other 3 offensive line spots?
We got to cross that bridge. Listen, we need playmakers first. Okay?
Well, that's an argument.
The Cincinnati
halfway thought this out.
The Cincinnati Bengals showed you that the offensive line thing is overrated.
Yeah.
So, and Joe's showing you that now. So, technically, we need to address the playmakers.
Right.
So, when you get a quarterback that's in rehab right now, you go to San Francisco, Minnesota, or the Rams to go to, like, quarterback school rehab. Then when you come out of there, like, you really good.
Yeah.
So
what looks like a good offense a year from now? Judkins on the ascent, Fannin on the ascent, just average quarterback play, Carnell Tate, and someone else, right? Like, you can make a case that that's an ascending offense. Is it a good one? No, but is it bottom 5 in every single category? Probably not. So you might be onto something there. But the problem with the tackle spots is those are long-term. Like, history says you draft your tackles early and you hit the right one, and that guy's your tackle for 4 years or 10 years. Not everybody's Joe Thomas. But, like, getting a tackle who you give a second contract to and he's your answer, that just solidifies things. And that allows you to use your other assets to go chase wide receivers, running backs, playmakers. Like, I love Harold Fannin, and if he was on a better offense, he'd be even better. And he's 21 years old, and 4 years ago was playing high school safety. Like, he's just learned. Imagine putting him out there with better. You're onto something there. But at the core of it in the AFC North, like, you need to have an offensive line, right? And the Ravens have struggled with it, and the Steelers, I think, are figuring it out. Who knows what their quarterback is in the future? But the Browns have no future right now on the offensive line.
Cincinnati went to the Super Bowl with no line.
They did. Their line was a little better than it is now.
So let me ask you this. Because we've seen the goalpost move on who they think the guy is, quote unquote, coming out of this draft. In your opinion, which quarterback draft, projected draft is better, the 26 class or the 2027 class?
Probably 27, because 26 just doesn't look good. Like, it's not been a good season for those guys. So, there's 4 really big games left in the college regular season. There's a whole postseason. And the Big Ten championship, frankly, should be Mendoza's tryout for the number 1 spot against the number 1 defense in the country, right? So we'll see then. And then, is Lenore Sellers going to come out? Is Nussmeier going to be healthy? There's all these questions, and we'll be back in January talking about them. It's a valid question, but I think what the Jets did is probably a little jolt to hey, they're playing for 2 drafts down the road. That's not to say they won't take one, and they might have the number 1 or 2 pick, but they might be playing for 2 drafts down the road when it comes to the quarterback.
Yeah, I just, it's frustrating because, I was sitting at home and we were going through the circular argument of it, right? I've always said that you should judge the quarterback on the field. The problem I always have is there's never a critique of, okay, let's talk about Dillon Gabriel on his merits, right? And just separate.
Well, that's a short conversation.
There you see, this is why you cook me. I was trying to be nice today. I was trying to be nice.
He is out of line.
But what I'm saying, that Zach, it frustrates me because for you to talk about the 27 or 26 class, right? That means that you already got an eye to the future, right? But for some people, it seems like if you have an eye to the future to see what the backup quarterback can do, that people think has a more of an upside than the guy that's sitting there in the position now, it's we can't do that because it'll ruin them. And I'm like, well, guys, have you not seen the guy that's playing right now? It doesn't look like he's playing well. He's not ruined. I don't understand what the apprehensiveness is to say, look, we play Dillon Gabriel, let him play and see if he does anything, and then we're going to play Shedeur Sanders, see if he does anything, and then we'll talk about 26 when we get to 26.
Well, I think right now is a product of the commitment they made. And I think they put Gabriel in quicker than anybody wanted to. And I think we've all seen the answer quicker than anybody feared, or anybody thought. I mean, I think this was always the logical conclusion, right? But I think there's 8 quarters left for Dillon Gabriel, right? If they don't win these next 2 games, then you're 7 games left, but you are totally playing for nothing. Right. And if he fails again, if he's still out there with the low success rate in the league, with all these 4-yard passes, with not being able to move the ball at all, which all these things are happening, then it's time to do it. But they've made the commitment right now, Gary. And we would look at the situation differently if they drafted him in the 5th round, and we would look at the situation differently if they had traded Joe Flacco 2 days ago instead of 5 weeks ago. Right? But they haven't, so they've made this situation, and Dillon Gabriel is going to play against the Jets, and if he's healthy, he's going to play against the Ravens. But if he plays the way that he has, and everything that we've seen says that it's going to be the exact same, maybe a couple exceptions with a new play caller, or maybe Jerry Jeudy actually catches a ball, right? Right? But other than that, time's up in 8 quarters, and they'll have to make a move.
Zach, real quick, do you want to mention the chart that you sent me?
Yeah. So,
if you want to take this full
the numbers are the numbers, and they're obviously bad for the Browns across the board. But Dillon Gabriel's success rate, is the lowest in the league, and it's at 36.7%. So Tua's getting replaced, and he's having an awful season. We saw him in person, and he's at 43, and he's bottom 4 in the league. Cam Ward is on a historically bad team. Look at that. So success rate is getting 4 yards or more on first down. It's leaving yourself 3rd and 3.5 or less, and then it's converting. So it's not the tell-all stat, right? But it's giving yourself a chance. It's consistently moving the ball, and that success rate is 36.7%. But look how far low that is. That's just the bottom half of the league, right? So the middle is 40, and you're 12% behind that.
Yeah, Justin Fields.
Go Bucks.
Right. Look who's not going to be playing next year.
Oh, wow.
Geno Smith.
Wentz.
Right? Wentz. Tua. Right? It's bad. So it's a number, and with all these numbers, you can present it to make whatever argument. But this doesn't just look visually bad, or the scores don't indicate it. They only got over 13 points when the defense did it for them.
Let me ask you this, and let me try to set this up right, because Tyvis sparked this when he asked you, as the last 2 years been a definition of insanity. You've been covering this team since year 2000. Zach, a lot of the times we hear fans say, man, it's been the same old since 99. And I was a kid in 99. And me and my brother talk all the time. In my opinion, I thought before Al Lerner passed away that the Browns was headed in the right direction. I had got the education on, like, we was the franchise expansion franchises that had came back. Our process was a little bit more rushed than what the Panthers and what the Jaguars was.
Yeah.
And to see that we made the playoffs within those first few years under Al Lerner, as a young kid, I was excited about the direction. We spent a lot of time talking about who's to blame. Jimmy, Paul, Andrew, Kevin. Do you believe that the Cleveland Browns was once headed in the right direction until Al Lerner passed away, or do you believe it's just been the same chaos from 99 to
I would say that 20 years after Al Lerner passed away, the Browns traded for Deshaun Watson. And this group was headed in the right direction until that trade was made. And they sunk it. And they did it to themselves. And it's a great conversation that we could go on for hours. But in this league, man, 3 years is a long time. And these guys have been here 6 years, and that's a long, long time. That's like 60 years in the real world. It's not an exaggeration, right? So they went 3-14 last year, and the offense they're trotting out this year is even worse. Like, to me, there's a mountain of evidence that says it's just time to move on. And people don't want that, and it's not easy for the next guy. And when the next guy does come, it's easy to tear it down. It's not easy to build it back up. We've seen that time and time and time again, right? But, like, they went all in on last year and this year, and they're failing. They're not losing because there's 12 starters on IR. They're not losing because the other team is making 60-yard field goals at the buzzer. They are consistently putting out an offense that has no chance. Right, and they didn't address wide receiver in the draft, and they didn't address O-line in the draft, and they drafted Dillon Gabriel in the top 100 and said he's going to give it a shot, and he has no shot.
Clip that. Tyvus, you're next up.
He said, I got nothing. He hit with the Vince McMahon. I got nothing.
I have nothing here. You just silenced me.
So going into this, let's talk about this upcoming game.
Do we have to?
Will you tell me that there is no way that we will lose this game?
I didn't say that.
Please
I said they
say
should.
There's no way, because you talk about the defensive tackle being
It's tough.
They benched the starting linebacker and they traded away the corner. Jerry Jeudy breakout game.
You would think, right? You would think. He only got 2. He didn't get a single target in New England until the game
That's
was
why
decided.
I'm saying, like, this has to be.
You would think, coming off the bye, right? Self-scout, right? Reassess.
Will the wide receivers get more targets than the tight ends?
They should not. They should not. Now, maybe they will, but they should not. So it doesn't look like Isaiah Bond's going to be in. That's a plus. That's a plus.
He's not going to be.
He's not going to be in.
That's a plus.
Yes. Do you watch the games?
I don't.
Zach, I've been saying this, and everyone laughs.
Yeah.
So bad. Like,
What about Malachi Corley?
I mean, it'll be him or Gage getting some touches. You would. They've been giving Malachi the design runs
So let me
every
get
game.
this right. The guy that they put their neck on the line for, gave a fully guaranteed contract to, is not good.
Why did the GM not speak on the bye week?
Clip that.
Zach's
on fire.
2.
Zach getting ready for verses.
Hey, I mean, no, like this is tough because there's no wiggle room with this, because the circular argument can't happen. Well, our receivers are bad, and Zach's telling you, well, who drafted them? Who brought them in?
Yeah.
Well, we don't have linemen. Well, who whiffed on Jed Wills? Well, our offense is bad. Well, your head coach is the offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Like, am I crazy for thinking like this? My vitriol kind of goes away if Kevin Stefanski, if I knew that they was going to go get a young, hot offensive coordinator that had a mindset, that knew how to deal with, college players and had a nice offense, and Kevin Stefanski was just walking around on the sideline, leaving Jim Schwartz alone, my vitriol kind of removes from the situation, because I'm like, all he got to do is clock management. Is this something where if Tommy Rees does look like he's doing something well, does that help Kevin Stefanski in a sense where
It should, yeah.
like he's off the, you know what I mean?
They're still building the body of work here.
Yeah.
And this team is still writing its own chapter. And you can look at points of this team, and they should have more wins.
Yeah.
Right? The numbers are the offense is bad, but like they should have more wins. They've had opportunities where they've just failed. The Cincinnati game, they couldn't catch the ball, 2 interceptions. The Minnesota game, they led the entire way. Right? They left the defense on the field too long. So, yeah, I mean, look, 2 years ago, last weekend is when Jed Wills got hurt. That experiment was over. So why 2 years later would you be having Cornelius Lucas and Cam Robinson as your left tackle? You didn't address it.
Zach, so let me get this right. You're talking about all these mistakes that's being made, but But John Dorsey makes one mistake of hiring Freddie Kitchens, and he gone. But they get multiple egregious mistakes, yet they still here.
Yeah, it's a great question.
Is it a philosophical?
It must have been a
difference?
real bad hire.
I told Mike that it could be a case of Jimmy Haslam living in his fears. That maybe that he's looking back and say, "Man, I kind of."
It is. They don't want to be.
Yeah, like I kind of
people.
moved on from John Dorsey too fast. Now look at that situation, and now like that situation is probably, spiraling the situation where you're looking at this now. Like I don't know
with Freddie, it was embarrassment after embarrassment, right? Like publicly and I'm assuming privately also, right? So these are good people. Like they've smart and they came in and they won. Mm-hmm. Like John Dorsey turned this thing around, but they didn't win, right? They finished 500 that year and they lost that last game at Baltimore, right? And then the next year they lost spectacularly after they had gone and traded the pick for Odell and spent all the money and said, now we're ready to play. And they didn't. These guys did win. They have been in the playoffs twice. But since then, they've won 5 games, right? And the offensive line is a disaster and the wide receiving corps, and the list goes on and on. So they're trying to plant their flag on 4 draft picks from last year, and those all look like players. And like I said, the arrow is probably up on all of them. But even when you look at that, it's like, okay, well, where's the rest of the draft class? Nothing. Maybe Shedeur will be the starting quarterback a year from now. There's no sign of that, right? And what about all these other issues? How can you fix this offense? What about all these linemen being old? What about all these big contracts, right? Like, they could trade Miles. They should have probably traded Miles. I get why they didn't. They could trade Miles in March. Right? Take $40 million dead. Well, it's just going to be unprecedented because Deshaun Watson's cap number next year is $80 million. And if you cut him, there's a chance it goes higher than that. You might have to do that to move on. But
let me
fully guaranteed.
So let me ask you. So people will be saying all the time, just trade these people, tear it down. But can they field a team if you cut Deshaun Watson, trade Myles Garrett with that cap hit, or potentially listen to Grant Delpit or Denzel Ward conversations? You can
field a team. It's not going to be a great one. It's going to be a part of the cycle.
How long is
Seattle and San Francisco, for example, Garrett, they cut a bunch of older guys this year. They tried to get ahead of it. The Browns couldn't do that because they were stuck in these contracts. That's why David Njoku is not signed for next year, but he's on the books for $24 million because they had pushed his money up from the previous years.
How long it take to get out of all this cap stuff?
Just 2 years.
So is this year, next year?
Yeah. So you have to be
27.
You have to be really bad.
We back.
Yeah.
Know what I'm saying?
28. Told you. I told
27. You know what I'm saying?
You're back to competence.
No.
You're back to building something.
I told y'all that dome at 29.
Somebody's gonna have to be a sacrificial lamb somewhere. Somewhere. I don't care if you got to get rid of a secretary or something. No, I'm just playing. Keep all the support people. But I'm just saying, at some point, I don't know nobody that can have this amount of debt. Like, at some point, somebody has to account for
the IRS coming to collect.
Somebody got to collect, man. Like, I mean, you told me 2 years? Because think about it.
So Jimmy can't cut a check or something like free?
That's the cap space.
This is unbelievable.
Guaranteed money.
How did this happen?
Three first rounders.
What is all this manipulating the cap jazz?
Right. It's just pushing it down the road. Yeah, it's just pushing it down the road.
It's called refinancing your house that ain't worth nothing.
Right, and then doing it again.
And then doing it again, and then going to the club and spending refinance money on drinks.
They might as well just deal with the Jets did then. They should just trade them all.
Everybody.
Let's just go ahead and deal with it for 2 years. 27, 28,
right.
We back.
Them trading Sauce 3 months after signing him says it can be done, right? So, yeah, Miles was never getting traded this week. He's probably not, but you're going to have to look at it. You're going to have to look at how do we get out of the Deshaun Watson contract. And if you accelerate it, that means it's going to be more than $80 million next year.
Note to self, Jimmy Haslam, here's what you do. If you just want some propaganda, I'm starting 12 for 15. Give him a beautiful distraction while I try to get rid of this cat buddy.
Let me say this. This doesn't get talked about because we're talking about the here and now. There's a chance that Shedeur Sanders is the starting quarterback of this team exactly a year from now.
You are the first person I've ever heard say that. You're the first person.
You ain't got to watch on.
Like, listen, I forgot what it feels like.
Lay that out for us. What's the process? Or what's the plan?
Well, the process is it's clearly not the guy it is now, right? And you're going to go in and you're going to have, let's say, pick 5 and pick 15. right? You need tackle, you need receiver, you need all these other things. If you think Shedeur can play and you think Shedeur is going to use the offseason to get better, then you draft another quarterback in the 3rd round and you go forward with those 2 guys, and then you sit and wait on 27.
We do a deal.
You got 2 quarterbacks on rookie contracts at that time.
Right. The way out of this is for Shedeur Sanders to be Brock Purdy. Comes out of nowhere and makes no money, so you can spend it other places and push money forward and get rid. That's the way out of this. That's the only way out of this.
That's why I asked Zach about the 2027 class, though, because in that scenario, Shedeur gets the whole 2026 to prove what he can or cannot do.
Well, I hope he hit, because 27, Jeremiah Smith is the answer.
We don't know on these quarterbacks, right? But if the Browns have 5 and 14, right, and Mendoza's going and Sellers and whoever else, are you going to trade both of those to move up and get one of those guys?
No.
Or are you going to address your other needs and wait a year? So why couldn't Shedeur be the quarterback next year when he costs you absolutely nothing?
I'm tripping on the fact that you said that they're going to draft one in the 3rd and only have 2 quarterbacks. Where's Dillon?
I mean, he'd be a backup.
He'd be a backup. That's what they drafted him for.
Yeah.
You need as many quarterbacks on rookie contracts as you could possibly get. He just said Deshaun Watson's cap hit is $80 million.
Yeah.
And you give me
you know who they going to take? If we gonna draft late for a quarterback, they're gonna take Drew Aller. Watch.
Fine.
Swear to God.
I had Dane Brugler on my podcast last week. He said even with the injury that Drew Aller's going on the 2nd day.
Fine. Come on.
That probably says more about the state of the NFL than anything else.
That's wild that he's gonna go on the 2nd day.
I love what you said, because if you really want to be cool about it and you really want to be smart, don't bring another quarterback in here and put him in the same offense with no linemen and receivers, and then we'll be here doing the same thing next year in 26.
That's why I said I would have traded for a receiver at the deadline and still took one with the 1st round pick next year.
I would. Project Stockpile Tyvus, I like him. Zach, he's waving me off. I will talk to you all day. You hooked. You are, man, these clips going to go crazy over the weekend.
We're going to do some numbers on that. Zach, we appreciate you coming in. Make sure you follow Zach on Twitter at Zach Jackson. Akron Jackson, correct?
Correct.
Akron Jackson, for all your local Division III football and NBA basketball takes. Thanks, Zach.
And OU Bobcat updates.
All right, guys, we're going to get to our